We're ready.
I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Common Council of the City of Platteville for Tuesday, July 11th, 2017, and we'll start with roll call.
Catherine Westerby.
Here.
Barbara Doss.
Here.
Don Francis.
Here.
Barbara Stockhausen.
Here.
Ken Killian.
Here.
Eileen Nichols.
Here.
And Tom Knoll.
Here.
First item is consideration of the consent calendar. The following items may be approved on a single motion and vote due to the routine nature of previous discussion. Please indicate to the council president if you would prefer separate discussion and action. A is council minutes from the June 27th special and regular meetings and also the June 29th special meeting. B is payment of bills. C, financial report for June. D is appointments to boards and commissions. I have one this evening, the Parks, Forestry, and Recreation, Savion Kirk. It's a term that expires on 6/1/18. Also in the packet, licenses, extend license premises of Nick's on July 22nd to include the public parking lot. Temporary Class B retailer's license to serve fermented malt beverages, the Friends of the Mining and Rollo Jameson Museums, for the Platteville Museum's volunteer picnic on July 18th. Also 1-year and 2-year operator licenses to sell or serve alcohol. Permits, street closing for Division Street from Chestnut to Bradford for the family block party on Wednesday, July 19th with a July 20th rain date. Also a walk-run permit, Terry Cullen for Ben's Hope Suicide Awareness on Saturday, September 23rd. And finally, 2018-2019 election cost-sharing agreement with Grant County. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Agree.
We have a motion and a second. We'll vote.
Westerby.
Yes.
Doss.
Yes.
Francis.
Yes.
Stockhausen.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Knoll.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next is citizens' comments, observations, and petitions, if any, and we have the pleasure this evening of having a new staff member introduced. Karen?
Yes, I'd like to ask our new Director of Administration, Nicola Maurer, to come up and just give a brief introduction for the council.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here with you in the city of Platteville. As you probably know, my name's Nicola Maurer, and I just started last week on Monday. I originally hail from Great Britain, so you may detect a little bit of a weird accent going on there. I have spent about 25 years in accounting. I've spent about 5 years in the public sector, starting out at a water utility and more recently at a county as the finance director there. And I'm excited to be a part of the team here in Platteville.
Welcome.
Well, thank you.
Under citizens' comments, we have a request from Arlene Dorsey Sis.
Arlene Sis, 130 North Hickory Street, and I'm here because of the Stone Cottage. This is one of our big days coming up on the 23rd of this month, I should say. We will be celebrating our 180th anniversary for the Stone Cottage. Tell me how many other places are like that here in Platteville. Not too many. I think we might be it. But anyway, it is going to be very nice. Last year, we had something like this that people could buy. Well, we have taken it and we have some new things, and so we've been out and about trying to get people to purchase our new event. Remember, this isn't just for kids, this is for parents, and this is for anybody. They are wonderful. So we're going to be doing that. We'll have a whole variety of things, including the one thing that I think are best known for is we're going to have ice cream all afternoon, and it is the best no matter where we get it from. So anyway, so we would like to invite all of the people who are out there, the people who are in here, to come to the Stone Cottage because it is very, very beautiful. One of the things that some of you who have been here might know that we have a new entry into the Stone Cottage. and it is absolutely gorgeous. The college kids from the university were the ones who made it. We paid for it, of course, for the things that they used, but from now, when you look at the stone cottage and you start going up to the stone cottage, you will think that you are out east with the way it looks like the old places that they have and they still have. And this is the way the stone cottage looks, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So please do come. You know that, right? You saw it.
Yes, I did. It looks gorgeous.
Yes, it is. So we're not just making it up. It's true. So come on the 13th. The 23rd of this month, and you will have a nice day.
What's the time?
What time?
Oh, 1 to about 4:30.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Also, citizens' comments. Cindy Tang?
I'm Cindy Tang, and I'd like to report for the Library Foundation Board. Tonight we met. We are thrilled with the new library, and we voted tonight to make the final payment to the city of $130,900 and some odd dollars to commit our pledge to raise the $500,000. So I wanted everybody to know that it's been done and paid. We took out of a savings account the pledges that were pledged to be paid over 10 years. And so we've prepaid the city for the $500,000. So.
Wonderful, thank you, and thank you for the foundation as well, Cindy. And if you haven't been to the new library, I hope you do go see it, because it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, if I might add,
Yes.
I hope Cindy might say that there's a special kind of software that they have that counts the people that come into the library. And they're getting about 900 visitors to the library a day now.
That's great,
That's
absolutely great. My daughter and granddaughter are back, and they went there immediately, so, yeah, it's gonna be well used. All right, that's all the comments we have, so we'll go on to the reports in our packet. Zoning Board of Appeals, Stockhausen? Anything to add?
Nothing to add, I'm sorry.
Museum
It's been a
Board,
while.
Westerby?
Nothing to add.
Historic Preservation Commission, Killian?
No addition to the minutes.
City Attorney itemized report is also in our packet, as well as the Water and Sewer Financial Report, the Airport Financial Report, and Department Progress Reports. Any questions on any of those? All right, hearing none, we'll go on to our first action item. Memorandum of Agreement, the former Pioneer Ford site, and you will note that you do have some printout on your desk, which was mailed to us, I think, this week, Joe. I can't remember what day I got it, but anyway. Go ahead.
Yeah, the updated copy was emailed to you Monday, so it's dated July 7th. But just to back up a little bit, this is related to the former Pioneer Ford site redevelopment project. We did receive federal funds to help assist with that project. And because of that, and because of the fact that one of the properties, buildings on that site has been considered potentially eligible for National Register listing, we had to do a Section 106 historic review process. And kind of the final step in that process is that the city has to do a memorandum of agreement with the State Historic Preservation Officer to kind of outline the steps that the city will take to try to minimize any adverse impacts on that historic structure. So we talked about this at the last meeting, but you've got an updated version I guess for a couple of reasons. The first one is based on how that began to unfold with the discussions with General Capital. I split that first step into two different steps because I don't think we were really expecting General Capital to come along and say, hey, we're going to take another look at this to see if we might want to reuse the structure ourselves. That really wasn't clarified in the previous version, so that now becomes the first step. If they kind of do their number crunching, whatever they're going to do, and say, you know, we're going to hold firm and we don't really want to do it ourselves, then the next step will be, you know, then we have to negotiate, have a discussion with them, see if either side is willing to modify the previously approved development agreement and zoning approval that kind of had that structure removed from the property. So if the parties can agree to changing that, then we would then look for a different developer to remodel the structure at its current location. So then if neither party is willing to do that, then we move to the third step, and that's where the additional changes are proposed to the agreement. After the last meeting, there was a vote made to start basically the advertising for the request for proposals for anybody that may be interested in relocating that structure to a different site. Really, I think the decision was made to start that other step before the first step is complete, just because we're under a time constraint due to the grant. We've got to kind of have everything done by November. So working backwards, it's going to take some time for anybody that may be interested to put a proposal together and really look at it. So that was kind of the reason to start that other step. It was done with the understanding that, you know, if the project, the building is saved at its current location, we would just reject any proposals that would come in. However, after that vote, there was some concerns raised by our Historic Preservation Commission that it kind of gave the appearance that you're skipping the first step or not fully completing the first step. So I added language in this step regarding the request for proposals that it's really just to start the process early, so anybody does have the time, and it's not intended to skip the first discussion with General Capital. It's just to kind of start that process so we can move into that step if the first two steps in this case are not successful. So I think this language kind of makes it a little clearer to everybody involved that exactly how this process is intended to, you know, proceed as we go forward. I did share this language, proposed language, with the State Historic Preservation Officer, who ultimately will be the agreement will be with. I also shared it with HUD, who's the distributor of the federal funds that we're using, and the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation. The commission has also gotten a copy of this, and so far the comments have all been positive, that it seems to clarify the situation. So if anybody has any other questions, otherwise staff would recommend approval of this document.
Questions, anyone?
Joe, you had indicated here that we still would have to have demolition done by November.
The grant basically says that we have to have the site clearance work completed by November. So that's kind of setting the end date, and we're working backwards on, you know, how long it's going to take things to get completed. So we've got to work from that. So yeah, unless we were able to get another extension to that grant, that date is pretty firm. Since we've already got one extension, I think it's unlikely that we would get another one.
I make a motion we approve the memorandum of agreement as presented this evening.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
I would like to make some amendments to the proposed agreement, and I will pass down to the city clerk my proposed amendments, and also some other information that I may be referring to, and she can give it back after a while. So, my amendments are on the top page, so please pass those down to Jan Martin. I'll read them off.
So this is a proposed amendment to the
This
motion?
is an amendment to the motion. This is an amendment to 1B of the stipulations. So I would ask the council members to read along with me as I make these amendments. Do you have the copies, Jan?
Do we,
We have just one copy?
One copy.
can we have copies made? I'm not gonna, look at anything or judge anything from voice without it having been written in front of me.
Of the whole thing, or just the top?
I have
Just
no,
a cover sheet, the top sheet.
While we're waiting, I have a question.
Yeah.
It seems to be that there's, if I didn't, obviously haven't seen it, but it seems to have a number of issues. Do these go by paragraph B, C, D, as far as Joe's the presentation of the MOA,
This is
MOU?
the MOA, Part 1, stipulations, letter B.
And it is just for that, or do you have other amendments to other
They
parts?
only are for letter B.
Okay. So it'd be one motion to, you move to amend, you'll
B
wait
for
for a
letter.
second, and it'll be, whatever you read will be one part, and that's it.
That's right.
Okay.
I have a copy. I have a copy.
Thank you. All right, Ken?
Okay, the amendments to B. I will read through this for the public. It says the city will discuss with General Capital Group potential modifications to the project and the development agreement that would. So my first amendment is to change the word from could to would. That would result in separating the hotel property from the project, comma, and then reading on through the word demolished. Next amendment is to remove. So the following is being removed. If the discussion results in an agreement to modify the project and development agreement. So that is removed. And then a capital T is put on the city would seek a different developer to purchase, retain, and remodel said structure at the current location. Next amendment is to remove, and it's crossed out just like what I read here. If neither party agrees to modifying a development agreement, then the city would proceed to step C. This would read, if an acceptable developer is not found, comma, the city would proceed to step C. So in review, my amendment to this motion is to change could to would. Could is too weak a word. It's, some people might call it a weasel word. And then next one is to take out if the discussion results in an agreement to modify the project and development agreement. That's taken out. if neither party agrees to modify and development agreement, that's taken out, and it's reading, if an acceptable developer is not found, the city would proceed to step C. And what the purpose of the amendment is, the overall amendment is to ensure that other developers get a chance to look at the project, look at the Gates Hotel, give the city a chance to look at other developers. If we leave it worded as is, I view that B is simply a continuation of A, because A, it's saying there, if neither party agrees to modify the agreement, then the city would proceed to step C. So nobody, as far as another developer, would get a chance to look at it. The developer has said that money is a big factor for him as far as why he didn't want to proceed with this project. And so I want to see if other developers are willing to work on the project, and supposedly there are other developers. So this is my, these are my amendments to Part B. Also, I want to point out that I think the city needs to be more proactive as far as preservation. I looked up in the Smart Growth Plan, which is dated December 10th, 2013. It's moving along. Looking at page number 12, Cultural Resource Goals and Resources, Goal 1.3. Recognize, restore, and preserve cultural, historical, and archaeological sites. The Gates Hotel is an archaeological and historic site. Objective 1.3a, identify, restore, and preserve our cultural, historical, and archaeological sites. Objective 1.3b, the previous one was 1.3a, support the preservation and maintenance of the Main Street corridor. I'd also like to point out that I found a survey this morning in my file. This is the Platteville Community Survey 2009. It is listed in the Smart Growth Plan of 2013. This was a survey of the township and the city of Platteville. The survey was administered in the spring of 2009. All property owners and renters in the city and town of Platteville received a postcard, invited them with a postcard invite with a private household number on it, and they could visit a website and do the survey. If they didn't want to do the survey on the website, they got a paper survey. The survey was available for 6 weeks. The response rate was 1,755 people. College students, 1,231. Non-college residents, 588. City residents, 1,153. Town residents, 162. And I want to point out from page, I think it's 19, this information is also in the Smart Growth Plan. It gives the results. Preserving historic homes and buildings is very important. This was the statement. Of the respondents, 67% agreed with that statement. Of the college students, 67% agreed. Non-college, 69% agreed. City residents, 67% agreed, 2/3. And as far as town residents, 59% agreed. So approximately 2/3 of the people agreed with preserving historic homes and buildings as being very important. So I believe that we need to, as a council, carry out the comprehensive plan. And one of these things is to be proactive as far as historic preservation. You may not think it's very important, but apparently there are other people that think it is important. 67% of them responded as being important. So these are my comments about this. I believe that the council needs to do serious consideration of this Gates Hotel and preserve the Gates Hotel. And by the way, on this list here, as far as the comprehensive, the smart growth plan, it lists various places in the city as far as on the register, Ulrich Hall, the Beebe House, Evans Jonathan House, First Congregational Church, Mitchell Roundtree House, Roundtree Hall, the Roundtree Mansion, the Main Street Commercial District, and then we have 3 historic residential districts.
Okay, Ken, thank you for your comments. We have a motion with a proposed amendment. The amendment has not received a second. Is there a second to the proposed amendment?
Can I ask a question of our attorney?
I'm sorry?
Can I ask a question of our attorney, city attorney?
Yes?
What do you think about these emotions? These, not emotions, amendment.
The first thought I had was that this document's been passed through by Joe to several other organizations who have indicated the language is acceptable. I really haven't had an opportunity to flesh out in my mind what difference these changes make, if any. So I'm not really prepared to comment on that. I'm not sure that it changes the substance.
I disagree with you.
I
You may,
understand that.
Ken.
But we need to have a second to the motion, or to the proposed amendment. I have not heard a second, so the amendment dies. We have a motion on the table. Jan will vote.
Westaby? Yes. Doss?
Yes to my motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Ron Francis?
Yes.
Stockhausen?
Yes.
Killian?
No.
Nichols?
Yes.
Nall?
I thought you.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Next item is the authorize an RFP for the potential removal of building Gates Hotel. Joe.
Okay, so this is essentially the request for proposals that's identified in the memorandum of agreement under step C, stipulation C. So basically, we're starting the process to see if there's individuals or developer out there that would be interested in relocating the structure if the first 2 steps in that stipulation are not successful as far as reaching an agreement. So this basically gets us started on that process, so we're ready to go if we get to that step.
Anyone have any questions on this item?
My question is, why was this brought in the work session? Work sessions are usually done by consensus and not motions.
That's correct. That was my error. I was thinking it was a special council meeting and not a work session, so I should not have had you take the vote in the work session. But due to timing, we did put it on for action at this meeting.
I make a motion, we authorize the RFP for potential removal of a building, the Gates Hotel.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. And we'll vote.
Westaby? Yes. Doss?
Yes.
Francis?
Yes.
Stockhausen?
Yes.
Killian?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Nall?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next is the financial management policy.
That's correct.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. So in collaboration with our long-range financial plan, we are updating what was the financial management plan, turning it into a policy, adding in an investment section. We had a separate investment resolution. We're kind of bulking up the policy now. We're adding investments and adding a little bit of a section dealing with internal controls, and just kind of beefing up some other areas within the policy. So nothing has changed since the last time you would have gotten this at the work session. So it's just on for action.
Any questions or comments on the financial management policy? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the financial management policy.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have some questions.
Okay.
First page, clarification on what, let's see. Well, it's third paragraph from the bottom. Municipal advisor. Who is the municipal advisor?
Right now, it's Ellers.
You're using a term there, could you use financial advisor?
I think that's interchangeable.
Because I don't see you using it any other place. And when you come up with new terms some other place, it can be confusing. So that's one suggestion. Okay, on page 3, I guess I brought this up on the basis of the Pioneer Ford project, land use and growth. It says that incentives can be provided, comma, they should be extended to development based upon its projected return to the city. I guess I underlined that one because the Pioneer Ford project doesn't return money to the general fund.
It doesn't state general fund, it says return to the city.
It's just a return.
I think the concept there is that we shouldn't offer incentives unless we fully understand how that's going to play out over a period of time with respect to the city's finances.
Then on page 4, the third paragraph, the city's investment portfolio will remain sufficiently liquid. Do you mean to say must? To me, it makes more sense to say must.
I think at different times, depending upon what cash flows are needed, more of your investments may be liquid or more may be tied up. You know, it's in working with an investment advisor, you know, they're kind of they're doing an analysis, a year analysis of our cash flows and when we're getting shared revenue payments or when we're needing to pay big bills. Again, I think that could be something that could be interchangeable if needed.
Well, anyway, in reading it, I was thinking that must fits better. Or do you mean to say shall?
We can, whatever your preference is, I think any of those terms can be used.
Okay, then going down to investment official, let's see, that's under the one paragraph starting with officers and employees. Employees and investment officials, will that be the city manager and the, who else? Who are the investment officials?
I'm not sure, where are you at, Ken? I'm sorry.
He's in the
I'm
third,
in the paragraphs that starts with officers and employees.
Page 4.
Page 4.
3,
1,
4,
2,
fifth.
3, 4.
I would say the investment officials would be who we are, like Ellers, who we're using, our investment partners.
Okay, to me it came across as city officials.
Well, the next sentence, though, Ken says employees and investment officials shall disclose to the City of Platteville Common Council. So I think that explains that it's not city personnel. Because then they're to
that's gonna be-
disclose any financial interest that they might have.
Well, are you saying here financial advisor?
Well, actually, the financial advisor will not be the investment officials.
But Ellers is a financial advisor.
Yes, it's Ellers Investment Partners, and then there's Ellers and Associates. They're kind of two separate. So we will have different people helping us with the investments than who is our specific financial advisor.
Well, I read it, I found it to be misleading. Okay, then the next one is the next paragraph. I thought that paragraph would fit better up underneath the second paragraph. That's my suggestion. Investments shall be diversified. You're talking about diversification up here above, and you go through all this, and then you start talking about diversification again.
So you think under the second paragraph, beginning with safety?
Yeah, the second paragraph starts with safety of principle. And my last comment is on attachment A. It's Ellers Investment Partners. Now, explain whether or not we have a conflict of interest here because we're getting advice from Ellers and we're going to invest with Ellers?
So they're two separate companies, essentially. I mean, Ellers, but they're two separate. I mean, they're managed and they have two separate goals in mind. So one is for investments, and one is for offering municipals financial.
They're intentionally segregated. I will say we're not investing in Ellers. Ellers is managing our investments,
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
which and they don't make a commission off of our investments. We pay them a set fee to do this work for us, and that can be different than what may happen in the private sector.
And this is a list of authorized financial institutions. It doesn't indicate that we would be using Ellers. We may use Ellers, but any of these could be used.
Correct.
But it does, to me, it raises a question. Ellers, you have Ellers and Ellers.
Yes, but they are two separate entities.
I realize that.
Okay. Anything else, Ken? Otherwise, as far as your suggestions, it appears to me that the comments that staff has given is that you're in consultation with its municipal advisor, financial advisor. They would not have an objection to that. Am I correct on that?
Correct.
And on your will remain sufficiently liquid, Brian, I don't know if shall or, I don't remember the other word you used.
Must. Shall.
Does that change? I realize, will remain sufficiently liquid means something, that word versus shall.
I see there, the word shall is used at least one other time on page 3, when fifth paragraph down, the investment portfolio shall be designed with the objectives of obtaining a rate of return.
I'm comfortable with
They
shall.
seem, it's
Yeah.
aspirational, all of them.
Well, no, I mean, we are obviously gonna keep enough cash, sufficiently liquid to
Right.
pay our bills, so, I'm comfortable with shall.
Shall, we will.
Okay. You know, the other request to change the investments paragraph to the one up above, personally, I wouldn't agree with that. I think it fits where it is. Those are my comments. I don't know if anybody else has any comments. Otherwise, if you are in agreement, whoever makes a motion, if you want to note that we could change it to financial advisor and also shall as opposed to will in those two areas, and anything else you might want to add, but
Oh, yeah, you do. We need a motion and a second.
We have a motion and a second
motion.
on what was there.
on what was there?
Right, we had a motion and a second.
Westerby
Catherine?
and Doss.
Okay,
Catherine
all
made the
right, so we have a motion to approve it as it stands, without the changes. All right,
May I just say one thing for a second? Ken, I just want to check with respect to the municipal advisor versus financial advisor. That was given to us by the advisor, and I want to check it to make sure that statute doesn't list it like that. You know, that they may be referencing according to how the statute has it listed. So I'll check that, and if the statute does have municipal, I will ask that we just keep it that way.
well, actually, I lost track of the fact that we had a motion.
Oh,
We have a motion to approve it as it's written.
okay.
Ken has suggested changes, but we don't have,
I move to add these suggested changes which you mentioned.
all right, so is that a suggested for an amendment to the motion?
Yes.
Okay, Ken has made an amendment to the motion. Is there a second to Ken's amendment to make those changes to this document?
And you're saying that would work? Or you would look into it? Well, then I second his amendment.
All right, so now we have a second to the motion
All
amendment.
right, so
with a
I need to
second.
know what changes this would be.
What changes are
Exactly.
we making? Ken,
You listed them.
I listed them, the shall and the financial advisor,
Yes.
those two.
And I recommended also the shifting of the wording, but you didn't agree with that one.
So what is your amendment specifically?
Municipal advisor
Okay, change to
Changing
financial
that.
advisor?
and the one about
Shall versus
will
will.
go to shall.
All right,
So it's just two things.
it's just two things, is that correct?
Yep.
All right, Jan, do you have that?
Yeah, the municipal advisor and the shall.
Will be changed to financial advisor and will be changed to shall.
And Ken, does your amendment include that if it's statutorily required to stay the way it is, it needs to stay the way it is relative to identifying the municipal versus financial versus, I mean, it may be statutory.
Is it? Could it?
Maybe a statutory requirement.
She doesn't
that-
know, she has to look it up.
So should we
So
just-
I'm reluctant to vote yes to
Table it?
something, to say to change it, if we're gonna change it to something that's not legal.
Do you want to add that to the motion?
I added to the motion and
All right, that's not part of the motion, you agree? All right,
I second.
So there are two changes,
two change, yes.
to make
two
it
changes.
municipal, take,
Municipal,
and from will to shall.
yes, if it's statutorily allowed.
Okay.
All right, Jan, we'll vote.
Westerby,
the amendment.
Doss,
Amendment
Yes.
first, we're voting on the amendment first.
Francis,
Yes.
Stackhausen,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Nall.
No.
Motion carries.
All right, now we vote on
Amendment
the
carries.
motion.
Now we're,
Amendment carries.
now we're voting on the motion as amended. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we'll vote.
Motion as amended.
Westerby,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Francis,
Yes.
Stackhausen,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Nall.
No.
Motion carries.
All right. Ordinance 1711, amending the official traffic map, crosswalk across Chestnut Street at West Mineral Street. Howard?
Yes. We discussed this the last time, but what we're talking about is the Downtown Parking Task Force recommended that the city place crosswalk signs and paint a designated crosswalk across North Chestnut Street to West Mineral Street. That would be from the funeral home over to the private residence across Chestnut Street. Last time when we discussed, there was some concerns about this being state highway. This is within what's called the connecting limits within the city of Platteville, so unless there's some statutory reason, generally the state allows us to make those decisions within those connecting limits. I did speak with the DOT representative. It's not ideal because, as we've stated, there's a actual pedestrian crosswalk signal at Main Street about 300 feet south of here. But they do understand the rationale, and if the council decides to pass the ordinance, they can also accept that.
Questions, anyone, or comments?
Well, I comment that we need that. Tonight I avoided, 3 people went this way and that way right through that block. We need something that's more designated for people to cross the street at that area.
I make a motion, we adopt ordinance 1711, noting that there be appropriate signs, including that little sign in the middle of the road and a painted crosswalk.
I don't know if that little sign will work.
Like you go downtown and there's a sign in the middle of the road that says this is a crosswalk.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
I have a question.
I have a question too.
My first question is, how much surveying was done as far as viewing of the problem? Was it done over a period of a month, a week, a couple days?
7 years?
I won't go quite that long.
Well,
I don't recall exactly how long the student design team looked at this, but when they were reviewing the traffic counts and the pedestrian counts, specifically at Chestnut Street, for their downtown parking study in conjunction with the parking task force, they noted that there were quite a few people who crossed at that Mineral Street intersection, and they were concerned about the potential for crashes, accidents, based on the number of people who crossed there instead of coming all the way down to the traffic signal. I don't have the data in front of me, but that was a concern. Downtown Parking Task Force reviewed and concurred with that and are recommending that we do this.
Was there anything as far as time of day? Are they only talking about students going to classes and coming back, or what?
I believe that was the only times when they were actually doing the survey. So I don't know whether or not they did any surveying at night. But I have anecdotal data from other people who live in the area that pedestrians cross there at bar time and other times as well.
The one concern I have, another concern, is drivers, in my opinion, will tend to be fixated on the light, on the signal, trying to beat the yellow, go through the yellow, make it through the stop sign, so they may overlook the crosswalk. I think that's going to be, in my opinion, that's going to be a problem.
That's a potential danger with this. However, with signage and with painting of the crosswalk, the retroreflectivity of the paint and the signage, we hope that drivers will be able to pay attention to that. And we're talking 300 feet from that, 300 feet plus or minus from that signal. If you're going 25 miles per hour like you're supposed to, then you should be able to stop for that sign, for that traffic signal.
And heavy traffic can cause backup, and so then what do? Do you cross in the crosswalk with heavy traffic backup?
I guess that pedestrian has to be aware, just like the driver does. Ken, any other questions?
I do. One more, it's a comment. Okay, number one, I go through there every day, times that 3 or 4 times a day, and there's students crossing at that, or anybody. Tonight, there were 2 students crossing at that corner. So we need some type of designation. Now, I know the sign in the middle of the street may be a problem because of the big trucks going through there. Maybe you need little flags on the sides connected to the streets, but I firmly believe we need to bring the students out of the middle of the block into a designated area, because I think it's more dangerous having the students beat the traffic, which is what they're doing right now. The other thing I want to comment on is on Water Street, where I live. There's a crosswalk that has been there forever, right from Case Street to the grassy area of the high school. And they have it's painted every year. There's no sides to the sidewalk. It's just across the way, and people will stop, and that's the main highway too. Will stop for pedestrians, especially students, when they cross there from the middle school to the high school. So we already have an unusual crosswalk in the city that crosses a main highway. So my feeling is we really need this crosswalk. The biggest problem, if it does come up, will be the trucks. But truck drivers understand municipal rules, so they'll just keep their eyes open what's going on. But that is my comments.
Right.
I would like to offer an alternative, if I could, with respect to the idea of the floppy thing in the median, which, if I understood from the conversation at our last meeting, was about getting people used to this new installation. And I guess I'm wondering, and you can jump in here, Howard, if sometimes I know when people put up new signs, they'll put up little flags on top of the signs to draw attention to the fact that there's something new. And I'm wondering if that might be an alternative to have those flags there for a period of time on the signs, rather than having the thing in the median, which will have to be taken out and put back and may not survive the truck traffic.
We generally do put orange flags on new signs for a few months after a new sign like that is installed. I would be concerned about who maintains it, who would be responsible for putting that sign in the middle of the road and taking it back out of the middle of the road. Is that something that would be semi-permanent, and only be removed, say, in the winter for snow removal, or are we talking somebody like downtown, one of the business owners puts it out at the beginning of the business day and then takes it back in at night? That would be a concern, is how that would go.
I'm the one that, I agree with Ken. I sit at that intersection every day, and people speed up. In fact, not only to go through the yellow, but there's enough people that go through the red that sometimes I wish I had the ability to write tickets, because they're actually running the red light. They aren't even there. They're speeding up to go. My concern is that this crosswalk has to be adequately noticed in order for people to get used to the fact that it's there. The only thing I've seen that makes it noticeable are these goofy signs in the middle of the road, and I know they're a nuisance, and I know somebody has to put them out. If somebody can assure me that there is something as effective, because I really am concerned that there isn't anything as effective.
So your motion is still to put the sign
I
up?
will take the sign off, but that has to be noticeable. If it's not, I'll be back in a month or two with a motion to add that sign to the middle of the road.
The second agrees.
Ken?
Perhaps other people have seen this, but I've seen it in Madison where they put flags in stands, and so the person picks up a flag to cross the street. Now in Platteville, that may become a souvenir for people to take home. But it would be a way, if you had some permanent flags on the sign, on the side, to draw more attention to the crosswalk, not just the painting. Because there'd be times in the winter when the crosswalk is covered up with snow.
So I think if I understand the motion correctly, and the second agreed, you have removed the requirement for the sign in the middle of the street, but you
Right.
do want something effective to note that there is a crosswalk.
And
So-
Ken, I agree. I have seen these orange signs
Right.
in buckets in many towns.
Right. So will you rely on staff to come up with something, Barb?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, which Barb? I
I'm
don't
sorry,
know.
that Barb. All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve a crosswalk on Chestnut Street and Mineral Street with signage that's highly visible. We'll vote.
Westaby,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Francis,
Yes.
Stackhausen,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes?
Nichols,
Yes.
Nall.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, contract 1317, Third Street parking lot reconstruction.
Market Street parking.
Parking lot reconstruction.
No,
No.
you missed something.
You missed.
Go up one.
Letter E.
Oh,
You have the information?
the
Ordinance 1712.
reassignment. Sorry, I'm trying to get ahead of the game here, guys.
4 spots.
It's okay.
All right, so we've got E. Ordinance 1712, amending the official traffic map, Market Street parking.
Yes.
Howard.
At the request of a local business, Downtown Parking Task Force reviewed and is recommending that the city designate up to 4 parking stalls as 3-hour parking between the hours of 9 a.m., 5:30 p.m., no parking 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. For those stalls. They're similar to the rest of the parking in the downtown area. Basically, this would be to allow for parking turnover on the north side of the park for the businesses that are on that north side of the park. It would remove stalls for people who currently park there all day, but it was a recommendation of the Downtown Parking Task Force.
Questions or comments, anyone? Is there a motion?
Yes. I make a motion, we approve the Market Street parking reassignment ordinance 1712.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, and we'll vote.
Westaby,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Francis,
Yes.
Stackhausen,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Nall.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, now contract 1317, Third Street parking lot reconstruction.
Yes. We, as a result of the good bids that we were able to get for the other street reconstruction projects, we thought that we could do some additional work this year. As it turns out, the bids for the Third Street parking lot reconstruction came in much higher than anticipated, and we believe that that's because of the late timing of this, because we only had one bid, and we think that the other contractors around already have scheduled work. So what we're recommending is that the Common Council reject this bid and allow staff to consider this for 2018 work and rebid it then.
Questions? Motion?
I make a motion, we reject the bid from Rural Construction for this project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll vote.
Westerby, Yes. Doss,
Yes.
Francis,
Yes.
Stackhausen,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Nall.
Yes.
Motion carries.
But don't we need a motion now to move that money to next year?
Not now.
Okay, thank you.
Baseball, softball hitting station. Luke?
Yes, at our last meeting, we discussed the proposal from Platteville Youth Diamond Sports to add hitting stations to the immediate east of our batting cages. These would be essential individual stations for children and adults to hit balls off a tee into a fenced area, used especially for a lot of our formal leagues when they're running practices to get more hits in. Instead of chasing a ball, you're essentially able to set the next ball up and hit away. Included in your packet are some pictures of some stations, roughly what ours would look like. These ones are from Fenimore. Ours would be very similar. This would be an expense from the Legion Park Advertising Trust Fund. That's the fund where the sign money goes into, and this would be one of the types of expenses that would be allowed to be appropriate for that trust. Staff is recommending approval.
Any questions? Is there a motion?
I move that we use trust fund monies to build the baseball, softball hitting stations. And I assume it's at Legion Field?
Correct.
Or one of the Legion Park.
Is there a second?
Second to the motion.
A motion and a second? We'll vote.
Westerby,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Francis,
Yes.
Stackhausen,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Nall.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, on to information and discussion, rezoning, 685 South Chestnut. Joe?
Yeah, the property at 685 South Chestnut has a two-tenant commercial building. There's a chiropractor on the upper level, and the lower level has been vacant for about a year. The property owner has not been able to find a commercial tenant to go in there, but they've had a lot of inquiries from people interested in renting it for residential use. So they were looking into options for changing the zoning to allow the commercial and residential use of that site. However, they've got some preliminary estimates to do the construction work that it would be needed to convert that to residential, and it was significantly higher than they were anticipating. So at the Plan Commission meeting last night, they asked the Plan Commission to table that item. Not certain if they're going to proceed with that or not. So as of now, they do not wish the council to take action on this request. So it will not be on the next agenda for your action.
Okay. Property sale and development agreement, Elm Street lots.
So this is regarding the vacant land next to the old EMS garage. We did a request for proposals for developers to redevelop that property. We did select one. The council selected a developer at a previous work session. This agreement would basically outline the terms of the sale and development of that site. It's basically the kind of a standard agreement that we've used for other projects that would be similar in nature. Any questions?
Yeah. After this developer's agreement is signed, then is there a general development plan and a SIP that comes forward, or what?
No, it's just one duplex on one lot, so it does not require any additional zoning approval. It would be in compliance with the zoning ordinance. The only thing that the developer is requesting, the building has some covered patios at the back of the building, that those would not meet the rear yard setback. So he will be applying for a variance from the Board of Appeals. If that is not approved, he would just not include the roof over those, and then it would be in compliance.
So do you attach what the developer is going to build to this?
That is part of the attachment.
See, I didn't see it, but maybe I just didn't go far. I didn't go far enough. Sorry. Okay.
So how many units in this? It's a duplex
It's correct, one duplex.
and 2 bedrooms
Correct.
in a duplex? And they're gonna limit it to 2 unrelated people in a unit.
Part of his proposal was that he would be willing to have the city place the limited occupancy overlay designation on that property. So this agreement says that he agrees to that if the council desires to have that zoning put in place.
Well, it's written into the development agreement, so I assume this is coming back.
Well,
This
if
is gonna
the
come back
council
to us?
agrees that you want that designation, you would have to take that designation to place that zoning.
It says that the developer consents to
Right.
doing it.
But you'd still have to take that formal action to change the zoning map.
And is this agreement coming back to the council?
Yes, it's just
Okay.
information this evening.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, just a typo. Under term, looks to me like under part 5, it says developer obligations specified in section 3. That actually should be section 2.
And I would just add, the proceeds from the sale of this land was going to go towards reimbursing the townships for their interest in the EMS, the former EMS building, which we decided to retain control of and to use for storage. We are anticipating that there could be some additional, even after the townships are paid out, some leftover funds. And we're asking actually to put those funds, most likely along with some contingency monies that we still have, together to be able to fund a housing study and to get that started yet this year.
All right, any other questions? 2017 city goals, second quarter report.
And I didn't have any particular comments. It's just part of the process that we've been doing to give you quarterly updates with respect to how items are progressing.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Report in our packet.
I would add that we did just today go live with our new phone system, so going to the voice over IP. And so I would thank Administration Director Valerie Martin for her hard work on that. There will probably be a few little glitches here as we get all the details ironed out, but it's a big step forward for us.
All right.
I have a couple questions.
Yep.
Page 2, underneath street division, it says the city manager and public works director will be working more closely with this team. Who is the team?
The street division.
Under street division, page 2?
Yes.
Right, we're referring to the street division employees.
Referring to whom?
The employees of the street division.
Okay.
We're calling them a team.
I just want to comment or make a proposal, I guess, that we continue to look at owner-occupied housing. I think there's a need, continues to be a need. I'll give you an example. I was outside doing my classic yard work, and a person pulled up and said, "Where can I find decent housing for my family?" They had just come in from Western New York, and she said, a realtor, I don't know if it was you, Tom, but anyway, I gave her your name, but she said she was told to just drive around town and look for sale signs, for sale signs, because she couldn't find anything that met her needs. So I think we need to really look at the owner-occupied market.
Ken, any other questions?
Yes, on page 2, it's terminology again. That middle paragraph between the blocked out things, it says, the city is revising its financial policy and engaging an investment services manager. Now, is the investment services manager specifying Ellers, financial advisor, a new person?
That is referring to that second arm of Ellers, that specifically Ellers Investment and Partners.
So it's Ellers.
Does not have to be Ellers exclusively, though, correct?
No, there are other firms that will do this type of work.
But it's somebody not a city employee.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I was getting at.
Any other questions or comments on the city goals? Hearing none, need a motion to go into closed session?
Before we do that, I would like to compliment that Karen, you've recently been at the state legislature again, right, on the dark store? Or
Yes, I didn't testify, but I was there.
But you were part of the group that, yeah. And I think we ought to say thank you for doing that. It's a long hike there, and you sit and you wonder if it makes a difference, and so we're hopeful it is making a difference. Thank you.
All right, now is there a motion? Go into closed session?
Go on. I move that we close the session per Wisconsin statute 19.85, Parag C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdictions or exercises responsibility, city manager evaluation.
Now is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to go into closed session.
Westerby?
Yes.
Doss?
Yes.
Francis?
Yes.
Stackhausen?
Yes?
Killian?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Null?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, folks,